Great. So, do you remember our first lecture, Introduction to Ethics, Integrity and Aptitude? In that lecture, we discussed 5 things: syllabus, question paper, the resources to be referred, then what are the demands of the question, right? Demand of the paper, demand of the subject, and how to complete those demands. I gave you do's and don'ts, right? So there are mainly 3 subjects that we are going to cover as a part of ethics. One is ethics, what we also known as moral philosophy. Second is social psychology. And third is public administration. And once we complete this theoretical foundation, then we are going to study case studies, right? So today we will right away begin with the first topic of your syllabus, that is ethics and human interface. So what is the meaning of this topic, ethics and human interface? The meaning of this topic is, where does the ethics come in human life? What is the role of ethics in human life? Right? Now, we learn about morality or ethics from various sources. And current debate is about whether we can call them as ethics or not. This approach in philosophy, particularly Indian philosophy, is known as Neti-Neti approach. Neti-Neti का मतलब क्या है? न iti, न iti means when you reject what is false by saying it is not true, न iti, न iti, whatever remains afterwards is truth. That is the approach of Advait philosophy, right? The same approach we are going to take today. We are going to discuss certain traditional common sources of morality, and we will also going to study why we cannot call them ethics, what are their limitations, and once we study what is not ethics, then we will continue to study what is ethics. That's how we are going to proceed. So let's begin with some of the sources of morality that we traditionally or collectively refer to, and what is their relation with ethics. So write down this list. First comes law, second comes religion, third comes customs and traditions, fourth comes emotion, fifth is science, sixth is art. These are the different sources that we rely on, fundamental sources, to make sense of morality, right? So what will be our approach towards these sources and the relation with ethics? In a way, we will try to understand how do they tell us about morality and what are their limitations, and if at all they have certain limitations, how we are going to look at their relation with ethics or moral philosophy. So let's start with first source, that is law. And there was a direct question in MPSC last year about law, whether law serves as a source of morality for most of the civil servants and how, right? So as a common man, do you believe law serves as the source of morality for all of us? Yes. Do you believe that? Hmm? Please continue to reply in chat box so that our interaction, lecture will be very interactive, right? So some people are responding. So yes, some examples. Can you cite some examples? For example, Child Marriage Prohibition Act, right? Or Dowry Prohibition Act, Child Labor Prohibition Act, right? Instant Triple Talaq. Uh, yes, correct. So if, and why do I take this topic first? Because tomorrow as a civil servant, you are going to rely heavily on laws to work, to get things done. So before you do that, you need to understand limitations of the laws so that you would know how to navigate around those limitations and to make correct decisions, right? So even though law acts as a primary source of morality for civil servants and even for a common man, still it cannot be called ethics because it has certain limitations. Okay, so write down first limitation, that this question answers the first limitation, that are all laws ethical? And the natural answer to this question is no, not all laws are ethical, right? So some examples are written over here. For example, there was a section in IPC, Indian Penal Code, section 377. Do you know what it was about? Yes. Have you heard about this section, which has been repealed by Delhi High Court? It had criminalized homosexuality. Right. It had criminalized homosexuality. Now tell me, do you want state to dictate about your sexual orientation? No, of course not. Because then it would curb your fundamental rights. For example, right to live. Correct? Or you take another example, Section 124A of Sedition Act. Again, it has been repealed by Supreme Court. Now it is again in news because government wants to bring it back in another way. Right. Then Rowlatt Act, which gave tremendous power to British government to put Indians behind bar without trial. Or Criminal Tribes Act, which criminalized entire communities by branding them as criminals. And its consequences are still felt even today. After more than 75 years, British have gone. Right? So even today, do you hear some problems with certain laws that they receive heavy criticism for the morality they preach? Yes, correct. So this is first limitation, that not all laws are ethical. Second limitation is here, that are all ethical norms are covered by laws. For example, not lying, helping friends, doing charity, being courteous to your neighbors or relatives. No. Okay, tell me, can you bring all ethical norms under the laws? Is it possible? Yes, not possible. Why? Because sometimes the norms of morality differ from person to person. The greatest debate is veg versus non-veg. Right. Sometimes it differs from group to group. Right. So imagine if someone tomorrow brings everything under laws, which is not really possible, but imagine hypothetically, what would happen? Yes. If someone brings every ethical norms of the society under laws, what would happen? It would encroach upon personal freedom, right? People will not be free to decide certain personal things. The government will dictate you everything. And naturally, there will be chaos, violations. Every time you talk to someone, interact with someone, enter into transaction, you'll have to carry rule book around. Correct? Violations would increase, number of cases would go up. And if number of cases would go up, you would require more institutions to deal with it, police, court, prisons. If they increase, their number increase, then what would happen? The expenditure of the government would increase. If the expenditure of the government goes up, then you'll have to pay more taxes and it will cut down your budget. So it is a vicious circle. So understand, more laws means less morality. If you have more morality, you don't need laws. Why actually we need laws in our society? Because we don't trust each other. That's why you need third party agency to guide, regulate, and control your behavior and treatment towards each other. No, I'm talking about more laws, not in general laws, right? Huh. So when I say why we need more laws, because we have less morality. I often give example of Mizoram. Okay, in Mizoram, you'll find certain shops along the roadside where shopkeepers are not there, and still people do transactions honestly. Would it be possible in cities like Pune, Mumbai, where shopkeeper is not there and still people buy things honestly? Not possible, right? So always keep in mind. So practically, it is not possible to bring under laws, everything under law. But even if tomorrow bring someone, it will lead to serious violation of individual rights, right to live. It will bring chaos. It will also burden some on the society. And that's why it is often said that the best society is the one where there is a minimum government, right? Yes. Now, what are the other limitations of the laws? Try to understand. So these are the two major limitations that we discussed. Other limitations are, one is laws cannot change at the speed with which society changes. Now, the current society is characterized by rapid changes. Do you agree with it? Yes. Current society is characterized by rapid changes. Unprecedented changes are happening because of globalization, science and tech, connectivity, digital world. What happens in one corner of the world affects the other corner. For example, you look at pandemic, right? The origin of virus was thousands of miles away, and yet it affected entire world. The war now that is happening, Iran, USA, Israel, is thousands of miles away from us, and yet it is happening. Our things like food and bread and butter and employment. So if law cannot change at the same speed, what is the answer? Because lawmaking, law amendment process is a bit messy, complicated, time consuming. So the answer is ethics. Ethics can provide you certain rules, certain principles, certain framework within which you can make decisions. So third limitation is that laws cannot change at a faster speed. Fourth limitation is limitless aspects of human behavior. So ये जो है fourth वाला, this one, limitless aspect of human behavior. That many a times you might have come across such behavior which you couldn't predict. Now, if we can't predict human behavior, even psychology sometimes fails to. Do you believe that law can provide answers to such behaviors? No, not possible. Right. So, who would provide at least some satisfactory response? The ethics. Are you getting the point? Even today, there are many things about which laws are not there. And we don't know how to bring them about, how to create such laws which will give response to particular human behavior. These are very subjective gray areas. What law demands is a bit objectivity, clarity, right? So remember these four major limitations, sorry, of the law becoming source of morality. Okay, first is that not all laws are ethical. Second, not all ethical norms can be covered by laws. Third, law cannot change at the speed of society. And fourth is limitless aspect of human behavior that you cannot cover under the law. Law only covers those behaviors which are known, which are predictable. Okay. So if these are the limitations, how we should look at the relationship between ethics and law? So you have to write these two statements which are important as far as this relationship is concerned. Write down first. Law means common minimum necessary morality. So these three words are important. Common minimum necessary morality. So what law tells us is common minimum necessary morality which is binding on us. If we violate that, law would punish us. But whether to be moral or not, beyond that limit which is set by law, is not prerogative of law. Law would not tell you that. It is your call. It is your group's call. So I'll give you one example. Okay. Imagine that you are a very rich, wealthy person in Indian society like Adani, Ambani, and you have a lot of wealth, of course. So one day a person arrives to your doorstep and seeks some donation for critical matter in his family. You are a generous person, but that day something happens and you refuse donation. Now, my question is, would law punish you for refusing the donation? Yes. No, not at all. Right? But if you take away someone's money deceptively, fraudulently, or forcefully, the law would punish you because that is a binding common minimum necessary morality. Right? You take another example that you are a best swimmer and you are walking by a river and you see someone is drowning. Now, if you jump in the water, you can save the person, but you don't do it. Would law punish you for not doing it? Yes. Not at all. No, it won't. But if you drown someone, then of course law would punish you, because that is a common minimum necessary morality. So that distinction you have to keep in mind. What law dictates and what law doesn't dictate. What law should dictate and should not dictate. ये distinction आपको समझ में आना चाहिए. Then second relation is, write down this statement. Law is the codification of ethics. Now what do you mean by codification here? Codification का मतलब है giving clear written instructions. So if you read the gazetted notification of the law published by government, you will find that in the introduction of the law itself, they try to define certain keywords that are important for the law. For example, if RTI Act 2005, if you read, they have tried to define the word information, what information that you are talking about. Because tomorrow when the time comes to interpret or implement the law, there should not be confusion, right? So what law does here, it converts ethics into a set of codes which would be easily understood by everyone. Now, if you go in ethics, not everything is clear, right? For example, ethics gives you some theories, some principles, some values. But what do they mean in a particular situation, in a particular context, is not clear. It is open to interpretation, right? So it is not everyone's cup of tea to study ethics and make sense of what is right and wrong in every situation. So to make it possible to work together and make it possible to execute government's work efficiently, we need laws. So what law does? It converts ethics into a set of codes, and these codes gives us clarity as to what to do and what not to do. Is that clear? Yes. ये रिलेशन समझ में आ रहा है आपको लॉ एंड एथिक्स का? Law is nothing but the codification of ethics. It takes the help of ethics to make a set of norms, to make a set of instructions that could be easily understood or grasped by people. Yes, guys. Is it clear? Good. Now, let's conclude this discussion with one hypothetical question. My question is, suppose there is one law that government wants to bring about and implement it, but people doesn't want it, right? Are you getting the scenario that there is a particular law that government wants to bring it, implement it, but people are opposed to this law? Now, my question is this possible government for government to implement the law forcefully? Yes. क्या लगता है आपको? Is it really possible for a government to implement the law forcefully? No, not possible. As a would-be civil servant, you need to understand the use of force has a limited utility. It should be used only in exceptional cases. Most of the time, administration or public administration has to work in cooperation with people. If there are certain laws to which people are opposed, you can't implement them. The classic example was Farm Bill, which government brought but had to take back when farmers kept opposing it for more than 2 years, and more than 700 farmers died in that process. No, so even if government wants to bring such laws which people are opposed to, they can't implement it because people would violate it anyway. So the natural question is, what makes implementation of the law possible if not force? And the answer is that people should really think that the law is in their best interest. Are you getting the point? People should be able to, or people should be convinced that the law is in their best interest. Now, when is it possible to convince people that the law is in their best interest? When the law are actually in their best interest. And it is possible only when you provide the foundation of ethics. Are you getting the point? So write down this conclusion in your answer sheet or notebook, that the laws should be made on the foundation of ethics. I hope you are writing. Okay, laws should be made on the foundation of ethics because it gives legitimacy to the law. Write down, because it gives legitimacy means acceptance to the law. And then implementation of the law becomes easy. Implementation of the law becomes easy. So is this clear, guys? Whatever I am telling you. Right. So tomorrow you need to understand this relationship between ethics and laws, because tomorrow you are going to rely on laws, but at the same time, laws would not help you in every situation. You need to use ethics. While using ethics, you have to understand the interaction between law and ethics and the utility of ethics in getting things done as an administrator. Okay, I'll repeat. Uh, Laws should be made on the foundation of ethics because it gives legitimacy to the law, and then implementation of the law becomes easy. Is that clear to everyone? This is the conclusion of this debate. So can we move ahead to the new thing, new exercise under this title, Ethics and Laws? Yes. Okay, now draw this diagram. This diagram would explain you the interaction between ethics and law. I hope this is visible. What does this diagram highlight here? It divides certain things into 4 categories. For example, quadrant A is about those things that are both ethical as well as legal. So most of the things that we do in our life fall under quadrant A. For example, paying taxes, protesting peacefully, helping each other out is both ethical as well as legal. Now this quadrant B is a little bit tricky. It talks about those things which are permitted by law, that's why they are legal. They are not banned by law. Law doesn't punish you for doing them, but they are unethical. For example, lying, jhut bolna, or wasting food, or what Hitler did in his period was legal because it was in accordance with his laws, but that was unethical, right? So do you agree with these examples? Even breaking promises, exploitation of workers in developing countries where factory owners follow the minimum restrictions of laws, and beyond that they don't think about the welfare of the worker. So this quadrant is a bit tricky. Can you add some examples here in addition to what I shared with you? Yes. Hmm. Bigamy, no, no. You can add adultery, extramarital relations. Now they are no longer crime in India. Earlier they were crime. Now it is no longer crime. It has been decriminalized. But would you call it ethical? Yes. Extramarital relation. Would you call it ethical? No. Second example is necrophilia. Have you heard about necrophilia? Where some people have sex with the dead bodies. Now there is no law to punish such thing because technically it is not a rape. Right. But because it hurts the dignity of the dead person, it is not ethical. So ये B quadrant कहाँ आता है generally? Yes. Where does this come? No, cannibalism is illegal as well, right? हाँ. ये ऐसी जगह आता है जहां लॉ आपको क्लियरली कुछ नहीं बताता. That's why it is legal, because it is not declaring something as illegal. But ethics tells you that this is not acceptable. I'll give you another example of B quadrant. Marital rape. Do you agree with me? Yes. Marital rape के लिए law नहीं है. Right? So a woman cannot go to police and file a case against her husband that he raped me. But such a rape cannot be termed as ethical because after all it is a rape. Yes. Do you agree with this B quadrant description example? That marital rape is legal because there is no law to ban it. But it is unethical because after all it is a rape. Yeah, exploitative marketing practices, correct. Okay, now C quadrant is quite easy. Blatant crime, all crime fall under C quadrant because they are both unethical as well as illegal. Now D quadrant is quite tricky here. It is saying that some things are not allowed by laws, rules, but ethics says they are okay. For example, salt satyagraha conducted by Gandhi, it was violation of the law, salt tax law. But because it was opposed to unethical laws, that's why the action was ethical. So D quadrant comes where laws themselves are unethical. So you violate the laws, that's why it is illegal. But because you are violating unethical law, the action becomes ethical. Are you getting this point? Yes. So D quadrant kaha aayega? Where there is a problem in the law itself and people violate the law. That's why it is illegal. But the action is ethical. So आपका homework आप लिख लो. What homework you are going to do henceforth? You are going to collect as many examples as possible for quadrant B and quadrant D. Some of the examples I have already shared on our Telegram channel. I told you last time. Unique Ethics Discussion Group. That is the Telegram channel. Now see, euthanasia, when you talk about passive euthanasia, okay, it is in quadrant A because it is legal as well as ethical. But active euthanasia, some people would term it as ethical because there is no law to permit it. That's why it is illegal. Active euthanasia is not allowed. So some people would categorize active euthanasia in D. But again, not all people would agree with that interpretation, that whether it is ethical or not. Some people would differ. है ना? So ethical और unethical ये जो डिबेट आपको प्ले आउट करना है, ये जनरली आप ऐसी चीजों के बारे में करो जहां डिबेट सेटल्ड है. जहां सेटल्ड नहीं है वहां आप मत जाओ. फॉर एग्जाम्पल समवन माइट would like to categorize non-vegetarian here in quadrant B कि legally non-vegetarianism is allowed but कुछ लोग उसको अनएथिकल कह सकते हैं, राइट. सो लेकिन उसके बारे में डिबेट सेटल नहीं है ना, वेज नॉन वेज का. सो आप वहां मत जाओ बिकॉज पोलराइजेशन हो सकता है. टेलीग्राम चैनल की लिंक की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. यू जस्ट राइट डाउन द नेम एंड यू सर्च बाय इट एंड यूल गेट इट. यूनिक एथिक्स डिस्कशन ग्रुप. Okay, so is this debate clear to all of you? Yes. And homework clear हो गया क्या सबको? Online people, it is important for you. So आपको quadrant B and D का example collect करना है. I have given one more example in Telegram channel that in Rajasthan it is found that child marriages are frequently happening. So now police have started taking strict actions. So to circumnavigate the law and police action, instead of going for marriage of children, they are actually doing betrothal. इसको कहते हैं engaging children with each other. Okay, so इसको आप illegal नहीं कह सकते, है ना, लेकिन ये अनएथिकल है, right? So engaging children to each other instead of getting married, ये लीगल हो सकता है बट अनएथिकल है. सो ऐसे कुछ एग्जाम्पल आपको करंट में मिलेंगे. यू हैव टू कलेक्ट देम एंड कैटेगराइज देम. Is that clear? Any questions so far about what we discussed? Is everything clear? Yes, guys. Good. Let's go to second part. Second source of morality or ethics is religion. है ना? So do you believe religion teaches us morality? क्या लगता है आपको? कैसे? For example, certain principles are found across the religion. For example, in India, Hinduism, Jainism, and Buddhism, they preach certain principles commonly. For example, ahimsa satyasteya, brahmacharya, aparigraha. These are the 5 principles you will find across these 3 religions, right? And there are many more ethical norms that are covered by religion. Even if that is the case, still you cannot call religion as ethics because religion has certain limitations. So before we start to understand those limitations, let's try to understand what is a religion. Now in Indian context, particularly in Hinduism, the religion is known as dharma. So have you heard this word dharma before? Yes. It is a Sanskrit word and it comes from the root word dhru. And the meaning of dhru is dharna. है ना? So religion का जो मतलब है संस्कृत में वो ऐसा है, धारयति सधर्म, जो समाज को धर के रखता है, बांध के रखता है और उसको स्टेबिलिटी देता है, उसको रिलीजन कहा है हिंदुइज्म में, है ना? तो ये एक मतलब है. दूसरा मतलब ये है that the word dharma is also associated with the duty. So when you say raj dharma, guru dharma, pati dharma, shishya dharma, patni dharma, this word dharma indicates what are your duties, right? So if you look at these definitions, in these definitions God has not been mentioned, right? Do you agree with this? In both these definitions, there is no mention of God. So where does the God come in religion? Where is the role of God in religion? So the role of God in religion comes in academic definition. For example, sociology defines religion as a system of beliefs and rituals that are connected with God or divine beings. So that's how social sciences like sociology define religion. They connect beliefs and rituals or system of beliefs and rituals to the God or divine beings. So this is what religion is in brief. Okay, it consists both rituals and belief. So how it is different compared to ethics? So there are 3 fundamental differences in religion and ethics we need to understand. First is origin of norms. Okay, a definition, Ishika. Okay, I'll repeat. The definition is religion is a system of beliefs and rituals that are connected with God or divine beings. Is that clear? Religion is a system of beliefs and rituals that are connected with God or divine beings. So let's look at first difference. The difference is origin of norms. In religion, it is believed that these norms about morality have their origin in God or divine beings. For example, in Hinduism, Vedas are believed to be apaurushaya. Apaurushaya का मतलब है not created by human beings. So have you heard this word before, apaurushaya, in connection with Vedas? है ना? So the author of Vedas claim that the knowledge of Veda was revealed to them in enlightenment or in dream. इसको हम साक्षात्कार भी कहते हैं. ठीक है? So it was their claim that the knowledge, what they term as Vedic knowledge, is not ours. It is given to us by divine beings in enlightenment or dream. But in ethics, the origin of norms is in human intellect. So understand this difference. In religion, the origin of norms is in believed to be in divine or God, divine beings or God. But in ethics, the origin of norm is believed to be what you can call as human intellect. इसका मतलब है human intellect का our capacity to reason. Okay, intellect का मतलब भी आप लिख लो. It is nothing but our capacity to reason. So these are the 2 different things, right? Second, investigation of norms. In religion, investigation of norms is prohibited. Why do we do investigation? Because we find out truth. But in religion, doubting or investigating something is not allowed. What is allowed is faith. Religion asks you to believe something, have a faith in God, have a faith in divine power, and then you'll get the result. For example, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says to Arjuna, Samshayatma vinashyati. इसका मतलब क्या है? संशयात्मा विनश्यति. Those who doubt, they get destroyed. Those who have faith, surrender me unconditionally, I look after their well-being. योगक्षेमम वहाम्यहम. ऐसे कृष्ण कह रहे हैं ना. सो हर एक रिलीजन में फेथ को इंपॉर्टेंस दें, नॉट डाउटिंग. बट इन इथिक्स, इन्वेस्टिगेशन इज कंपल्सरी. That you must remember. So whatever thinkers and theories that we are going to study in ethics, they will have their critique. We will discuss their limitations. It is a compulsory. Without that, no thinker or theory is accepted in ethics. So again, these are the polar opposite position. And what religion prohibits is compulsory in ethics. So do you agree with this? These are the pole apart thing, right? There is no possibility of reconcilement here. Correct? Yes, online people. Right. And third thing is rituals. Religion doesn't give you mere norms of morality. It also tells you how to put them into practice. For example, donating something, right? So are you free to donate anything to anyone the way you want according to religion? No. Religion gives you the list of things that you can donate, also the list of people to whom you can donate, and when and how you can donate. You are not free to decide. Even the worshipping of the God is dictated by religion. You are not free to do the way you want, right? But ethics doesn't believe in rituals. It gives you set of norms, principles, values, theories, and the implementation of these things is left to your discretion. So for example, the way equality is practiced in USA may not be exactly same the way it is practiced in India, even though principle of equality is same. Is that clear? Or the principle of positive discrimination is same in USA as well as India, but their implementation is different. So ethics doesn't believe in rituals. It doesn't give you any rituals. The implementation of ethical norms, principle, value is left to you. These are the three fundamental differences because of which religion and ethics are pole apart. Okay. Then there is something interesting known as in this debate, and please write it down. Its name is Euthyphro's problem. So Euthyphro is a character in Plato's writing. Plato was an ancient Greek philosopher, great Greek philosopher, and he was a student of Socrates. So if you know the story of Socrates, Socrates was condemned to death and he accepted it and he drank hemlock poison. Euthyphro was a judge in that period and his father was convicted for the crime of killing a slave. Okay, so both Euthyphro and Socrates are waiting outside the court and they are talking to each other. In that conversation which Plato recorded, Euthyphro wants to know about what is right and wrong, what is good and bad, what is holy and unholy. ये सब debate चल रहा है. So in that conversation, Euthyphro makes a statement to Socrates. Okay, now pay attention. This is important. Euthyphro says, I believe, Socrates, whatever is liked by God is holy and whatever is disliked by God is unholy. So भगवान को जो पसंद है वो पवित्र है, जो पसंद नहीं है वो अपवित्र है. ऐसा उसका स्टेटमेंट है. Now, Socrates, being a philosopher, he doesn't believe anything blindly before investigating. So he asks or seeks permission from Euthyphro that whether we should investigate what you say or whether we should believe because you say it. Euthyphro is a fair-minded guy and who believes in openness, investigation. He says, yes, we should investigate the statement. Now, to investigate that statement, Socrates puts a counter question. Now, this is more important. Okay. सॉक्रेटिस उसको ये काउंटर सवाल पूछता है कि कोई भी चीज भगवान को पसंद है इसलिए पवित्र है या वो पवित्र है इसलिए भगवान को पसंद है. Whether something is holy because it is liked by God or because it is holy that's why it is liked by God. So आपको क्या लगता है? Which thing would you prefer? Is it first or second? यस, कोई भी चीज भगवान पसंद करता है वो इसलिए पवित्र हो जाती है, वो पवित्र होती है इसलिए भगवान उसको पसंद करता है। करेक्ट, सेकंड वन, राइट। अब ये जो है क्लेम बाय सोक्रेटिस, ये क्या आपको बता रहा है? व्हाट डज इट सजेस्ट? ये आपको ये सजेस्ट कर रहा है दैट इवन गॉड इज नॉट फ्री टू डू एनीथिंग ही और शी वांट्स, राइट। अ गॉड इज अ गॉड बिकॉज he accepts certain restrictions, certain rules, certain norms. Rather, God is not the cause of holiness. Holiness is the cause of godliness. समझ में आ रहा है? For example, can you believe a God or can you worship a God who drinks liquor and lies in gutter? Or can you imagine a God who sexually exploits children or kills them? No. If someone proposes such a God to you, you would not term him as a God, you would term him as a demon. So, what does help you to decide whether the particular entity is God or demon? Because that concept is already there. So, here Socrates is suggesting that in order to decide what is holy, unholy, right, wrong, you don't have to go to God because God is not the cause of it. So, what does help you here? According to Socrates, it is our capacity to reason. He calls it as a divine power by using which we can decide what is right, wrong, holy, unholy. Is that clear? ये clear हो रहा है concept आपको? Yes, Socrates ये जो propose कर रहा है हमें through Euthyphro's problem, he is suggesting that we should rely on our intellect to decide what is right and wrong instead of going to God, है ना? और इसी की वजह से Socrates को convict किया था. People claim that he is disobeying the God. Actually, he was not disobeying the God. He was addressing the fundamental questions about morality. है ना? But now imagine that if I explain you everything, okay, still there would be some people who are heavily influenced by religion, जिनको हम धार्मिक लोग कहते हैं. They want to rely on religion alone to make sense of morality, right? ऐसा होता है ना, कुछ लोग इतने धार्मिक होते हैं कि उनके पास आप कितना भी तर्क रखो, कितना भी प्रूफ रखो, they would want to be guided by religion. And in my opinion, nothing is wrong about that because that freedom is already given by Constitution. Now, my next question is, you can do it for personal life, but what about collective life? For collective life, which religion would you prefer? Even in personal life, tell me, have you chosen your own religion deliberately after studying rationally? Yes. No, not at all. So, which religion we follow generally in our life? Yes. Which religion do you follow in your life? How do you decide which religion to follow? The one which we are born within, the one which our parents have got, right? And that we become, we grow up with that religion. We start believing that. So even though Constitution has given us freedom, we don't exercise that freedom, right? And that's okay with personal life sometimes, है ना? But what about collective life? Do you believe that which religion giving answer to this question would solve the problem in society? Because not all people have same religion. So which religion would you choose for collective morality? Now some people would say that majority is religion. So let's say in India, Hinduism is majority religion. Correct. Right? But choosing Hinduism, does it solve problems of society about morality? Rather, it complicates the matter, right? Because in Hinduism, there are many things about which there is no unanimity among Hindus. Do you agree with this? Within Hinduism, there is no unanimity about many things among Hindus. For example, which god to worship? Tell me name of one god which all Hindus worship. Or tell me name of one book which all Hindus refer to make sense of morality. No. Rather, it is said that every village, if you have lived in village, every village has its village deity, what we call Gram Devta, right? And there are different sects in Hinduism. For example, you have Vaishnavism, Shaivism, then Tantric, Aghori, Shaktapanthi, Nathapanthi, then Lingayats are there, who few years back demanded separate religion status, right? And these all sects don't have harmonious relationship with each other. Sometimes there are conflict, and even there are records of bloody conflict where they entered into war with each other over the issue of who should get more prestige. Right? Now, if this is the case with Hinduism, and there are different ways to look at God. For example, Dvait says God and man is separate and God is superior. Vishishta Dvait says that man and God is separate, but man is a part of God. He's Amsh of God. And Advait says both are one and same. The separateness is an illusion created by Maya. Now, can you reconcile all these contradictory perspectives within one religion? Yes, is it possible? No, not possible, right? You can't reconcile these contradictory, and every person believes their own version of religion. Okay, forget Hinduism. Let's look at Islam. Do you believe in Islam there is only one sect? Yes, that all people follow. No, there are Sunni, Shia, Ahmadiyyas, Dawoodi Bohras, and sometimes they have enmity because of their views towards each other. Okay, what about Christianity? Do you believe they have only one sect? No, there is Catholics, Protestants, Lutherans, Calvinists. The word Protestant comes out of protest against Catholics. है ना? What about Buddhism? Now in Buddhism, Buddha denied the God. But don't you think that interesting thing people did was they treated Buddha as God. Even today they treat him as a God. Some Hindus believe Buddha is an incarnation of Vishnu. Yes. So Buddhism, maybe you will find many sects like Hinayan, Vajrayan, Mahayana, Theravada Buddhism, Chinese Buddhism, Japanese Buddhism, right? What about Jainism? Do you believe there are different sects in Jainism like Shwetambar, Digambar, and they also have conflict among themselves, right? So choosing which religion as an answer doesn't solve the problem, it complicates. That's why our founding fathers who created constitution, who led the freedom struggle and guided the country through turbulent period, these people were visionary people. They knew the psyche of Indian. So that is why they allowed religion in our personal life, but they prohibited it from collective life. And that is why we have secular principle or secularism as a part of constitution. Are you getting the point? Where all religion are treated equally and state is separate from religion. Is this clear? Then next limitation of religion is sometimes it may promote unethical practices. For example, you may find mention of untouchability, child marriage, or devdasi or sati pratha in religious scriptures. They're sanctioned or they're carried out in the name of religion. So sometimes religion may promote unethical practices, right? So these are other limitations. So you have to check whether religion is even today relevant or not. It might have served some function, made it arose. It has served some needs of the time, but is it relevant even today? That you need to probe. And what about people who are non-religious, who don't believe any God, who don't believe any religion, atheist है कुछ लोग, तो उनके बारे में क्या करेंगे? And these people could be also good people. They need not be bad people. है ना? तो उनका क्या करेंगे? So let me give you some homework. As a would-be civil servant and as a rational and educated people, you should try to read history of religions. For example, let me ask you a simple question. How many of you know that the oldest temple in India belongs to 4th century? Have you read about it? Yes. Do you know which temple is the oldest temple in India? Yes. Have you heard about it? Read somewhere, heard somewhere, or you had curiosity about it because of the temple things that are going around current events में? कब शुरू हुआ टेम्पल कंस्ट्रक्शन इन इंडिया? उसके पहले क्यों नहीं था? Even do you know that idol worshipping wasn't prevalent in Indian society? In Vedic period, there is no mention of idol worshipping. And idol worshipping इंडिया में सबसे पहले बुद्धिज्म में शुरू हुआ. इवन बुद्धिज्म में भी पहले नहीं था. They used to worship symbols. आइडल नहीं वर्शिप किया जाता था. एंड आपको मालूम है वो कहाँ से आया बुद्धिज्म में? आइडल वर्शिपिंग का जो ट्रेंड है, इन्फ्लुएंस है, वो कहाँ से आया? हैव यू हर्ड अबाउट इट? यस. No, not even educated people bother about all these things. They blindly continue to believe things that are told to them by their elders. Yes, Shakas and Kushanas. And from where they had got it? From Greeks. So Greek influence is there on the tradition of idol worshipping. Correct. है ना? So आपको ये प्रूव करना है. Okay, let me tell you another interesting fact. Okay, you'll be surprised. Do you know how long we are on the planet of Earth as a species, Homo sapiens? Any idea? कितने साल से हम इस अर्थ पे है एज अ होमो सेपियंस स्पीसीज? उसके पहले हम नहीं थे इस फॉर्मेट में, जिस फॉर्मेट में आज है. यस. एनी गेस इफ यू डोंट नो? कितने ओल्ड है हम एज अ स्पीसीज ऑन द फेस ऑफ द प्लैनेट अर्थ? प्लीज रिस्पॉन्ड पीपल, गेस करने की कोशिश करो. नो नो. 1 lakh year, no, no, from Ice Age, no. Around 4 to 4.5 lakhs. No, no, not 3 billion years. No, no. 4.5 lakhs. है ना? अच्छा, आपको मालूम है कि डायनासोर पीरियड में हम नहीं थे. वी वर नॉट देयर इन डायनासोर पीरियड. राइट? वी आर नॉट कंटेम्पररी ऑफ डायनासोर्स. अच्छा, कंपेयर टू आवर एग्जिस्टेंस ऑन द प्लैनेट अर्थ, हाउ ओल्ड आर द ओल्डेस्ट रिलीजन्स? कितने ओल्ड है? मानो आप एक ओल्डेस्ट रिलीजन ले लो इस दुनिया का, वो सबसे ज्यादा ओल्ड है, तो कितना ईयर्स ओल्ड है? यस, हाउ मेनी ईयर्स ओल्ड इट इज? हाँ, नॉट इवन 5,000. हाँ, राइट राइट. 3,000, 3,500, 4,000 at the most. So compare 4 to 4.5 lakh years versus 3,500 years. Don't you think religions are recently born babies in the history of human existence? Yes. है ना? सो कुछ लोग ऐसा भी दावा करते हैं कि ये जो मोरल नॉर्म्स है जो रिलीजन आपको दे रहा है, वो पहले से ही थे, रिलीजन ने उसको सब अज्यूम किया है. बिकॉज विदाउट मोरालिटी को एग्जिस्टेंस इज नॉट पॉसिबल. वी कांट लिव टुगेदर विदाउट सम सेंस ऑफ मोरालिटी. डू यू अग्री विद दिस क्लेम? यस. कैन वी लिव टुगेदर विदाउट मोरालिटी, विदाउट एथिक्स? नो, नॉट पॉसिबल. है ना? सो हम इतने साल से एक साथ रह रहे हैं, तो इसका मतलब मोरालिटी पहले से ही है. रिलीजन ने उसको सब अज्यूम किया है, अपने तरफ खींच लिया है और दावा किया है कि हमने बताया. है ना? सो इन ह्यूमन हिस्ट्री, सिविलाइजेशन की हिस्ट्री में रिलीजन्स आर रिसेंटली बॉर्न बेबीज. अच्छा, और एक इंटरेस्टिंग चीज मालूम है आपको? नन ऑफ द रिलीजियस स्क्रिप्चर टॉक अबाउट डायनासोर. डू यू नो व्हाई? कैन यू टेल मी वन रिलीजियस स्क्रिप्चर विच मेंशंस डायनासोर? हाँ, क्योंकि जब ये रिलीजियस स्क्रिप्चर लिखे गए थे, तब डायनासोर किसी को भी मालूम नहीं था. डायनासोर्स आर रिसेंटली फाउंड आउट. देयर रिमेन्स, राइट, देयर fossils were recently found out, discovered. आर यू गेटिंग द पॉइंट? हाँ. सो आपको ये इंटरेस्टिंग चीजें थोड़ी इन्वेस्टिगेट करनी है, और इसमें सबसे ज्यादा इंटरेस्टिंग जो लिटरेचर आपको इंडिया में मिलेगा, दैट वाज रिटन बाय स्वामी विवेकानंद. यू मस्ट रीड ऑल दिस. अच्छा, ये भी आपको मालूम है क्या? अर्लियर वी वेयर इन द हिस्ट्री ऑफ रिलीजन, वी वेयर नेचर वर्शिपर. है ना? वी वर्शिप्ड एलिमेंट्स ऑफ नेचर. फॉर एग्जाम्पल फायर, एयर, वाटर, राइट, इवन रिवर्स, mountains, trees. Then we started worshipping animals. So, for example, initial incarnations of Vishnu, like Matsya Avatar, Varaha Avatar, Kurma Avatar. Then fusion of animal and man started. For example, Narsimha Avatar. Then God became humanoid. For example, Ram, Krishna, Vaman. है ना? And then it became abstract. Abstract का मतलब निर्गुण निराकार. तो ये जो ट्रांजिशन है ऑफ गॉड, ये भी आपको समझना है ना? आर यू गेटिंग दिस पॉइंट? सो व्हाट आई एम सजेस्टिंग यू इज टेक एन एक्टिव इंटरेस्ट इनटू द हिस्ट्री ऑफ रिलीजन्स and philosophy of religion, because personally you may not believe in god or religion. I don't know how much you believe it, but people around you might be doing it. And as a would-be civil servant, you need to know how to respond to these influences. So what is the conclusion of this debate of relation between ethics and religion? That by using filter of ethics, we are going to decide what to accept from religion and what to keep it aside, right? And for that you need ethics to make this ethical inquiry into the aspects of religion. ऐसा नहीं है कि हमने रिलीजन का इन्फ्लुएंस एज अ स्टेट नहीं लिया है, वी हैव टेकन। फॉर एग्जांपल, आपको मालूम होगा कि गवर्नमेंट का जो 4 लाइन वाला लोगो है, उसके नीचे सत्यमेव जयते जो मोटो है, वो हमने मुंडक उपनिषद से लिया है। एंड मुंडक उपनिषद इज वन ऑफ द लिटरेचर ऑफ वेदांत, है ना। तो हमने इन्फ्लुएंस लिया है, अच्छी चीजें हमने ली है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, ये जो 4 लाइन का सिंबल है, दैट इज टेकन फ्रॉम पिलर ऑफ सारनाथ, है ना। इट इज अ सिंबल ऑफ बुद्धिज्म, है ना। या फिर जो अशोक चक्र है, वो भी वहां से लिया है। सो रिलीजन का अच्छा इन्फ्लुएंस हम ले रहे हैं, बट फिर भी हम सेक्युलर प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं। सो आपको कल कैसे ट्रीट करना है इन ऑल दीज इंटरेक्शंस, दैट यू शुड अलाउ पीपल टू प्रैक्टिस रिलीजन इन देयर पर्सनल लाइफ as long as they don't harm the others. But in collective life, you can't allow people to bring their religious beliefs. It has to be a secular practice. Is that clear? समझ में आ रहा है आपको? हाँ, मैं आपको एक एग्जांपल देता हूँ, फिर आपको समझ में आएगा। ओके, इमेजिन दैट यू आर अ वेरी वेल्दी पर्सन विथ लॉट ऑफ मनी एंड लैंड. So if you construct a big grand temple in your personal property with your own money, can government object to you? Yes. Can government stop you from this, from constructing your own temple in your own property by using your own money? No. As long as you don't violate any laws, safety norms, you are free. Right? But you can't put up even one idol in public place, small idol, because it belongs to all. It doesn't belong to you or particular sect or particular religion. Is that clear? Yes. ये aspect clear हो गया आपको. So tomorrow as a civil servant, you have to allow freedom to people to practice their own religion in personal sphere, है ना। अगर कोई खुद का रिलीजन बदलना भी चाहता है तो उसको फ्रीडम कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ने दिया है। बट इफ समवन इज कन्वर्टिंग अदर्स बाय यूजिंग fraud, by using force, by using any other incentives, then that is not allowed. Okay, are you getting the point? Yes. Is this clear? Great. Now let's move to third point. Ethics and customs traditions. So do you know the difference between customs and traditions? Yes. Have you heard the difference between customs and traditions? Traditions are those things which we do generation after generation. While customs are those things which are done widely on a large scale in a society. So tell me, is marriage a custom or tradition? Yes, it is a custom because it is done widely, but it is not necessarily done generation after generation. Someone in next generation may decide that he or she wants to remain single, right? So tradition can be custom or may not be a custom depending on who practices it. Some traditions belong to certain families only. They are not done widely. For example, in Maharashtra, you may find in certain families there is a tradition of going to Wari, Pandharpur Wari. Have you heard about it? They call themselves Warkari. Right. But it is not a custom. Are you getting the point? Or there is a tradition of worshipping Lord Ganesha during Ganesh festival. Now you can't call it custom. Why? Because it is not done by all Hindus. It is done by many Hindus, but not by all. Right? Funeral ritual, ये custom है या tradition है? Yes, it is both. It is both. Both custom as well as tradition. है ना? Correct. Now, why custom and tradition, despite their influence on morality, cannot be ethics? Do you believe custom and tradition guide us about morality? Yes, guys. They do, right? For example, the tradition of donating on particular days in the name of your ancestors, right? For example, in Hinduism, they practice Pitru Pandravada, Pitru Shraddha, right? हाँ, so ये morality है ना, हाँ, और norms of marriages. But इसमें problem क्या है? What are the issues of using custom and tradition as a source of morality? The first problem that has been explained here is they are not same everywhere. They change according to time and situation or place. So, for example, the tradition of marriage or custom of marriage is not same. Normally, what we find in India is monogamy, one person marrying another person. But have you heard about polygamy, particularly polygyny, one man marrying multiple women? Yes. But there is in Himachal also known as polyandry. Then there is something known as endogamy and exogamy. Have you heard these terms? Endogamy का मतलब marrying within the group, exogamy मतलब marrying outside the group. And both exist simultaneously. Okay, so can you bring uniformity here? Can you make all marriage customs same? Yes. Is it possible? This is where uniform civil code debate enters. Do you really believe that it is practically possible to implement uniform civil code for all? Yes. What is your opinion? Is it practically possible to implement uniform civil code for all? Not possible, right? In state where it is implemented, they have given certain exemptions to certain communities. Even within one Hinduism, you will not find uniformity. Not all Hindus would accept common norms and common laws. I'll give you one example. Okay, in Haryana, they don't allow marriages within relations. And not even within one relation, they don't allow marriages within one village. They treat children of one village as brothers and sisters. Have you heard about it? Yes. In Haryana, they don't allow marriages within relation. But in Maharashtra, marrying within relation is very common. Rather, they actively practice it. Right? So, have you seen in Maharashtra certain cousins intermarry? Yes. Now, who would change their norms for the sake of uniformity? Would people from Haryana change their norms for the sake of Maharashtrians, or would Maharashtrians change their norms for the sake of Haryanese people? Not possible, right? In South India as well, yes. In South India, in certain part, you might have heard that a maternal uncle can marry his own niece. Have you heard it? Yes. In certain part of South India, even in Maharashtra, southern Maharashtra, a maternal uncle can marry one's own niece. Now, who would change this custom? No one, right? So, if it is not possible, how you can bring uniform moral norms? That's not possible. It may differ according to groups. इसको हम कहते हैं relativism. Are you getting the point? Okay, second question is, even though they appear to be related to religion, they are not always related to religion. Customs and tradition apparently appears to be related to religion, but actually they are not. So from where does they arise? Custom and tradition, from where do they arise? They arise from local experiences or experiences of local people. For example, there is a town in Maharashtra, its name is Shani Shingnapur. Do you know peculiarity of this town? Yes. Hmm. Yes. Doors are not locked. Now, why? Is it written in any scripture where there is a temple of Shani Dev, you should not lock the door? Yes. No, it is not written. So, from where does it come? It comes from the experience of people who live there, right? Okay, let's talk about funeral rituals. Have you seen funeral procession of Hindus? आपने देखा होगा ना फ्यूनरल प्रोसेशन हिंदूज का, तो सबसे जो आगे चलता है वो आदमी क्या लेके चलता है उसके हाथ में? व्हाट डज ही कैरी? ही कैरीज एन अर्थन पॉट, एक मिट्टी का, हाँ, जिसको हम कहते हैं मटका, घड़ा लेके चलता है। उसमें क्या रखा हुआ रहता है इन दैट पॉट? व्हाट डज ही कैरी इन दैट earthen pot? He carries a fire, not water. Water is taken at the site. He carries fire. क्यों फायर लेके जाना है? Because in olden days, where there was no technology of matches, matchsticks, or lighter, people used to preserve fire in their hearth, and they used to carry around, particularly in rainy days. They used to even borrow fire from each other if at all they lose everything. आज आपके पास वो जरूरत है क्या? Yes. Do you believe there is a need for such practices even today? No, but we do it under the influence of society, nothing else. समझ में आ रहा है? तो आज भी इतने सारे प्रैक्टिसेस ऐसे हैं जिसका रिलेवेंस हमने इन्वेस्टिगेट नहीं किया है. We just blindly follow them. Are you getting the point? Yes, you'll find many such practices which are unnecessary, irrelevant, and yet we practice because society demands it. Yeah, Sanchit, you are right. Okay, third limitation is they can be exploitative towards some sections of the society. For example, dowry practice. Don't you think it is unjust towards the family of a girl, right? Or Devdasi Pratha. It is exploitative towards a girl child. नहीं? ऐसे बहुत सारी चीजें हैं ना जो exploitative हो सकते हैं that are carried out in the name of practice or traditions. Okay, do you know certain jewelries are also patriarchal? Have you heard about it? Particularly girls, that certain jewelries that you use are patriarchal. For example, anklets that you wear on your feet, bangles, anklets. Do you know why bangles and anklets have been in vogue and why they have been particularly prescribed for women? And they are also treated as symbol of their marriage. Why? ये particularly married women के लिए बहुत important है. Patriarchal क्यों है? Yes, any idea? Correct. Because they create sound, and that's why it is very easy to track movement of women. No, not identifying simply. It is not about simply identifying a married woman. It is also about keeping a watch. Have you seen that anklets are also used on small children? Yes. Yes. Okay, have you heard that in certain tribal communities, they make women to wear rings in their neck so that their neck would be long and it is treated as a sign of beauty. Correct. But do you believe such a neck is a really sign of beauty? No, it's not. Uh-huh. It immobilizes her movement. And have you heard when the rings are removed, her neck breaks down and she's dead? Yes. In China, earlier they used to believe that if you have a smaller feet, you are beautiful. Have you heard this? Yes. Now, what is patriarchy here? Because if you have smaller feet, you can't run away. Are you getting the point? So, whatever we today call as a symbol of custom and tradition are mainly patriarchal. नहीं, बहुत सारे देखो ना, हिंदुइज्म में भी बहुत सारे रिचुअल्स एंड पिनन्सेस दे आर मेनली प्रिस्क्राइब फॉर women. For example, you are doing certain penances for good husband. Is there any penance for men to have a good wife? Can you tell me one? Not at all. Not at all. So don't you think, I'm not saying that all custom and tradition are like this, but certain custom traditions could be exploitative. I'll give you another brutal example that in Madhya Pradesh, there are certain villages along the highways where certain communities practice prostitution by generation or tradition. They force their own daughters in prostitution. Have you heard about it? Recently, a political leader's video became viral where he had sex on the road in public. In Madhya Pradesh, his video was viral, right? सो ये हाईवे पे हुआ था और वो ऐसी जगह हुआ था जहां प्रोस्टिट्यूशन बाय ट्रेडिशन होता है. सो डोंट यू थिंक सच प्रैक्टिसेस आर एक्सप्लॉयटेटिव? है ना? इफ यू आर फोर्सिंग अ गर्ल चाइल्ड इनटू प्रोस्टिट्यूशन, yes, Sanchit, you are right. Bachchabazi in Afghanistan, where boys are also sexually abused or exploited. So this is third limitation. And fourth is they limit the scope for reforms. So if you're doing something in the name of tradition and custom, people resist the change. So have you ever tried to question any practices at home? कभी ये कोशिश करके देखी है? At least to ask explanation behind certain practices in your families. How do your elders react to your questions? Okay, in my opinion, they shut you down. They don't allow you to question. They just ask you to blindly obey what has been done. Do you agree with this? Yes. ऐसा होता है ना? That you are not allowed to even question and seek justification of certain practices because they believe if something is done for years, decades, generation after generation, it must have some merit. But do you really believe that everything that is done generation after generation must have some merit, must have some logic into it all the time? Not at all. Rather, some people have fanatically pursued such practices and in the end have harmed themselves. Okay, I'll give you one famous example. You might have heard about it, right? In the South, there was this great mathematician, genius, Ramanuj. Have you heard about him? Yes. Right. Do you know how did he die? Yes. Any idea how did he die, Ramanuj? He was a mathematical genius without formal education. So when British government saw his genius, it sent him to London for further studies, further research. Now he went to London, okay. But he continued to do the same practice which he did in South India, that he used to bath twice with cold water. Now in South India, it is understandable that you live in a tropical country where heat is there, humidity is there, sweating happens. So you naturally bath twice. But in London, where there is a negative temperature, you are bathing in cold water. So he contracted pneumonia and he died. Don't you think this is a classic example how customs and traditions go wrong? Yes, correct. Or have you seen people around, some people who do such strict fasting, they harm their own health? Yes, कि डायरेक्टली आईसीयू में चले जाते हैं, इतना स्ट्रिक्ट फास्टिंग करते हैं. Now, do you believe that such strict fasting is in line with the modern lifestyle? Right? It's not. And yet people continue to pursue it because they believe if something is done generation after generation, it must have some merit. इसको बहुत बार कहते हैं pseudo science. They try to find out science in whatever old practices are there. But do you believe that all old practices are all scientific? No, sometimes they are propagated by blind belief, blind faith, superstitions, or simply social pressure. आपको समझ में आ रहा है ये सब? Yes. So how do you look at customs and tradition? In the same way like religion. Okay, so by using filter of ethics, we should investigate custom and tradition, and we should retain those which are relevant, good, ethical, and we should discard those which are irrelevant, unethical, or illogical. For example, I'll give you an example. In Maharashtra, Konkan, there is a tradition of Devrai. Have you heard about it, Devrai? Where they protect forests by declaring it as a god's forest. Now, this is environmentally sound practice, right? It contributes to sustainable environment or sustainable development. Such practices are should be retained or rather encouraged. But the one which are unethical, irrelevant, outdated, harmful should be banned or stopped. समझ में आ रहा है आपको? So this is how we should look at customs and traditions. Then next is emotions. Do you believe that emotions do guide us about morality? Yes. आपकी राय क्या है? Yes, some people believe, right? For example, your heartbeat increases when you are doing or thinking something wrong. Sweating happens, right? You feel uneasy. So these indicators make people believe that emotions are trying to communicate you certain about ethics. Now, there is one theory in ethics. Its name is sentimentalism by David Hume. David Hume is a philosopher who belongs to empiricist tradition. He believes that emotions are the only real sources of ethics or morality. For example, he says that if you are donating to a poor beggar or poor child who begs at the traffic signal, then you do it out of empathy or compassion, not out of purely logical reasoning. Right? तो ऐसा उसका मानना है. कुछ लोग बिलीव करते कि हाँ ये सच है, but not true. This theory has certain serious flaws in it. That's why it is not a mainstream theory in ethics. So what are the serious flaws? First one is, ये सवाल आपको पूछना है, are good feelings and good actions always convergent? इसका मतलब क्या है कि अच्छा करते वक्त अच्छे फीलिंग ही आएंगे, ऐसा नेसेसरी है क्या? No. Because some people may feel negative while doing good things and some people derive evil pleasures or pleasures out of evil act, right? Have you seen these characters, soap opera characters, saas bahu serial ke? They take pride and they enjoy a lot by troubling others, है ना? Or some people may feel negative while doing good things. For example, donating money for a good cause or getting up early in the morning, exercising, studying is good for you. Or dieting, eating good food rather than fast food is good for you. But do you believe that all people would enjoy this? Yes, not at all. Sometimes same emotion can lead to different actions. ऐसा भी हो सकता है. For example, anger. Do you believe that in an anger, people behave in the same way across the board? No, because different people may give different responses, or one person may give different response to same emotion under a different situation, right? Because, for example, the way you are angry with your friend is not exactly same the way you are angry with your father, right? Or towards the same person and same situation, a person may have different responses. For example, love of your mother. Out of love, she may ignore your mistake, but sometimes she may give you proper beating. So have you received Mahaprasad from your mother sometimes? Yes. आपने लिया होगा ना ये? हाँ. करेक्ट. मेनी टाइम्स. गुड. हाँ. तो आप ये नेसेसरी कनेक्शन कभी स्टैब्लिश नहीं कर सकते बिटवीन इमोशन एंड बिहेवियर. द बिहेवियर मे नॉट हैपन इन द सेम एग्जैक्टली वे, है ना? और ये भी सोचो ना, हाउ टू डिसाइड इथिकल आउटकम इफ द एक्ट डन आउट ऑफ गुड फीलिंग लीड्स टू बैड आउटकम और एक्ट डन आउट ऑफ बैड फीलिंग्स लीड्स टू गुड आउटकम. आप क्या देखोगे? फीलिंग्स देखोगे या आउटकम देखोगे? ये ट्रिकी है ना? ऐसा होता है ना, कभी कभी करते वक्त अच्छा लगता है लेकिन नतीजा बुरा होता है, या करते वक्त बुरा लगता है लेकिन नतीजा अच्छा होता है. सो व्हाट विल यू सी टू इवैल्यूएट द मोरल वर्थ ऑफ एन एक्शन? ये ट्रिकी है. इट हैज सीरियस फ्लॉज. So the question is how we should look at the relation. For that we need to define what is an emotion. So write down emotions are, ये statement important है. Emotions are response mechanisms for which we are biologically wired. वो हमारे बायोलॉजी में इनग्रेन्ड है, फिजियोलॉजी में इनग्रेन्ड है. Emotions are response mechanisms for which we are biologically wired. And these emotions can be non-ethical, unethical और ethical. इन तीनों में से कुछ भी हो सकता है. ये जो हमें इमोशन पैदा हो रहे हैं, ये नॉन इथिकल भी हो सकते हैं, अनइथिकल भी हो सकते हैं, इथिकल भी हो सकते हैं. नाउ आई विल टेल यू डेफिनेशन ऑफ इथिकल इमोशन. जनरली ethical emotion is being happy in others happiness and being sad in others sorrow. Generally, okay. किसी का अच्छा हो रहा है तो आप अच्छा फील कर रहे हो, किसी का बुरा हो रहा है तो आप बुरा फील कर रहे हो. इसको कहते हैं एम्पथी. बट उल्टा होता है तो वो अनइथिकल हो जाता है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, कि किसी का अच्छा हो रहा है और आपके पेट में बहुत दर्द हो रहा है कि यार इसका कैसे अच्छा हो गया, या फिर किसी का बुरा हो रहा है और आप खुश हो रहे हो. दैट इज अनएथिकल. एंड सम इमोशंस आर नॉन एथिकल, मीन्स दे हैव नथिंग टू डू विद एथिक्स. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, यू आर फीलिंग हैप्पी while looking at sunset. Now it has nothing to do with morality all the time, right? सो ये जो कैटेगराइजेशन है ये हमें करने के लिए कौन मदद करता है? एथिक्स. सो एथिक्स का रोल क्या है? लिखो, एथिक्स कैन हेल्प अस टू एनालाइज आवर इमोशंस. So by using ethics, we can categorize our emotions into different categories, and we can decide then later on whether we should have such emotions or not, and why not. So even though it is true that emotions have influence on our action, that influence is not a necessary influence or particular influence. It is subjective. That's why to deal with this subjectivity, we have a concept in our syllabus known as emotional intelligence. Is that clear? So ethics and emotion influence each other, but that influence of emotion on ethical action is not a definitive. It is subjective. It differs. That is why we need better understanding of emotions as well as ethics, so that they can influence each other properly. Is that clear, online people? So this is what I wanted to discuss today, these four things mainly. Remaining things we'll discuss tomorrow, and maybe we will conclude this topic tomorrow, and we'll also discuss some PYQs. So far, this is all what I wanted to cover today. We discussed relationship between laws, religion, custom, tradition, and emotion, and these four with ethics. And we also studied their limitations as a source of morality and what could be done, right? So now I'm open to your queries. If you have any query, raise your hand. I will unmute you, or you may ask question directly in chat box about today's topic or preparation in general or any other query. Go ahead. And it is good that many of you are actively participating in interaction, giving proper responses in chat box. I feel very good about. So thank you. Yeah, this PPT will be there on your app to see you. And you can go through it once again. You can go through record. ये आपको मिल जाएगा. ये रिसोर्सेस मैंने पहले ही लेक्चर में बताए हैं, एंड दैट लेक्चर वाज लाइव ऑन यूट्यूब. यू कैन गो थ्रू इट, एंड सम ऑफ दिस रिसोर्सेस PDF इज प्रोवाइडेड ऑन आवर टेलीग्राम चैनल. है ना? आप 11-12 के फिलोसॉफी के टेक्स्ट बुक से शुरू करो, महाराष्ट्र स्टेट बोर्ड के. उसमें भी स्पेसिफिक चैप्टर आपको पढ़ना है ना? ये आपका शुरुआत है, राइट. एंड क्लास में जो मैंने बताया है वो आप घर पे जाके करो. रिवाइज व्हाट वी डिस्कस, ट्राई टू कनेक्ट इट विद करंट इवेंट्स. ये इनिशियली इतना ही करना है आपको, ज्यादा पढ़ना नहीं है. इथिक्स के लिए आपको अप्रोच इनिशियली स्लो होना चाहिए, धीरे धीरे आपका स्पीड बढ़ेगा, बिकॉज दिस इज नॉट अ सब्जेक्ट विच इज कंपल्सरी टॉट इन स्कूल्स एंड कॉलेजेस. So ask your queries if at all you have. Otherwise, we will call it a day and we'll meet tomorrow. All right, online people, shall we stop there? So thanks to all of you for your patient listening and proper responses. We'll meet tomorrow. Good night to all of you. Take care. Yeah, see.